Hello, everyone. Here at the book club, I'm sorry I started late. I was at another live enjoying myself, listening to some nice music, and I didn't realize what time it was. I was jamming. I was enjoying myself in Mo Valley's live. So I had to slide out. Tell everybody goodbye and slide out. Have it come and get this started. So thank you all for coming in here. Hello, Emmanuel. God bless you. Thanks for coming in. This our book club night. It's at 8 o'clock. Hey, Gap Talk Media. God bless you. Thank you for coming in. We are on our second chapter of serving justice. So I hope you all will enjoy it. And I don't know what's going on with my night boss because he's supposed to be introducing you guys. So let me see if he's still here with me. So thank you guys all for coming in. I'm quite sure he'll be dropping down real soon as he join the channel. So he just now I must have hit join the channel, but he should um, be welcoming everybody in for me. So much love, and so we are already like 10 minutes behind. I like to start on time, so I apologize for starting so late because I am on scene. Make sure you just hit the like button when you come in, and I appreciate it. There they go. I had to put her up in there, make sure he joined. So now he's there. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading. It's called Serving the Justice. So we're in chapter 2. So I'm going to go ahead and begin. So everyone is welcome that is here. You are welcome to come. You're welcome to mingle. You're welcome to show love to each other. Just only I ask is please show respect. I don't have no moderators in here just as yet. So I'll be kind of pausing, trying to look up and check my chat out till Pretty Apple just came. Hey, Pretty Apple, God bless you. Thank you for coming in. God bless you, Queen. So we're getting ready to start with chapter 2, and it reads: As they sat outside on the patio of their favorite little Bistro 110, just steps from the Miracle Mile, Angie relaxed as her friends beggared her about about impending Thursday night. Angie was beginning to have doubts about asking Tony to escort her to the ball. She looked around the table and at her three friends and realized just how important they had become to her over the years. Angie, who had been raised as an only child, never knew what it was like to have sisters. These three women sitting there having lunch with her had become just that, her sisters. Now you can't find close friends that could be like sisters. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you was raised up and you only had brothers, or you might be the only child, so you never know what a sister, feel like. So you will find some true friends that will be your sisters. All four of them had lived together, studied law together, and cried and fought together. They had always celebrated their victories and consoled one another at their defeats. Two of them were judges, while the other two were lawyers. Isn't that awesome? Two judges and two lawyers. Just like they had all planned, even though each was successful in their own chosen field, none of them were married. As Angie looked at her sister, she wondered why. Darlene had become even more outspoken as she excelled as a litigant attorney. She had become even more beautiful than she had been when they first met. She had developed a more sophisticated and polished look and only purchased designer clothes that further complemented her petite yet muscular body. She was a senior partner at one of the most prestigious law firms in the city. Teresa, who was beautiful to begin with, had become even more stunning over the time. She worked for legal aid, and even though she didn't make much money working there, she still lived like princess. Her father saw that. Over the years, she had gained more confidence and had become more regal than she had been as a young woman. She was confident without being snobbish or um, pretentious. Rhonda had become a judge, just like Angie. They had always known that she would be. In college, she was always the most studious. In fact, she was the one that got them through some of their toughest courses in laws. Although Rhonda still wasn't as attractive as the others were, she had become good looking in her own way. She exalted a new sense of power and self assuredness that had become through years of building on a confidence in her abilities. In fact, if she would change her hairstyle and stop dressing like an old woman, she could easily be as beautiful as the other two. However, Angie understood Rhonda better than the other two did. She knew that in order to be taken seriously as a judge, you had to take away any distraction on and off the bench. T, who was asking her a question, suddenly drew Angie back into their conversation. Okay, Angie, now that we know that we are finally going to meet that gorgeous mystery man of yours, when are you going to give us more? Angie asked, more what? Well, we know that we know that he is smart, sensitive, and a body to die for. But what does he do for a living? Here they go with this. Yes, hey, positive. God bless you, Queen. I mean, you had never told us how he has earned his living. Teresa responded. She had ordered Angel hair pasta and chicken and seemed to be thoroughly enjoying it. Yeah, Angie, Rhonda joined it. We don't even know his name. Is he a judge or a lawyer? I mean, where did you meet this man? You know that in your line of work, you have to be very careful about whom you associate with. If you give me his name, I can have someone on myself run a background check on him. You know you can't be too careful. Please, Rhonda Darlene jumped in. Stop being so serious all the time. I am sure that Angie is smart enough not to have gotten involved with a con man or a mass murderer. There are more important questions that I need to know. I want to know how much money he makes. You know, some of these tired brothers only want to be with the sister so they can spend her money. And I want to know, can he afford you? Can he provide the type of lifestyle we all have become accustomed to? But most of all, have to, I want to know, does he have it going on where it counts the most in his bank accounts and portfolios? The best of them started laughing at Darlene's comment. Even Rhonda, girl, she's right. I want to know, what the size shoes does he wear and who makes his suits? Rhonda jokingly asked. They want to know everything about this man. Lord. As Angie sat there picking over her spinach salad with goat cheese, a frown crossed her face and she began squirming in her seat. All of you are so all you are so crazy. Does it matter what it does? Does it matter what he does for a living? I mean, that's what's wrong with us now. We are always so concerned what a brother's paper than what a brother's character. We spend so much time worrying about appearances than what really matters. And what's that? The rest of them chimed in together. Nana used to tell me that as long as a man treated you right, made an honest living, and put God first, the rest will fall into place. And that is so true. As long as he treat me right, and he's a God man, and he's taking care of me, you know what I'm saying? It don't matter how much he make. Hey, Miss Daniela, God bless you. It shouldn't matter. You know what I'm saying? She's so right. I got to read that again. Nana used to tell me, as long as a man treats you right, made an honest living, and put God first, the rest will fall into place. You know what I'm saying? And that is so true. So once again, I ask, does it really matter what he does for a living? Angie concluded. They all looked around at each other for a moment before answering, and once again said in a unison, yes. Then they all collapsed into uncontrollable laughter. Angie said, I had enough of your hands. You will meet him on Thursday as planned. So leave it at that, will you please? I don't want I don't know about the rest of you, but I have to work to do. Sometimes you got to make your own decisions. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can go to your friends and your friends will give you advice and stuff. If you don't like, at the end of the day, you still got the last say so. You know what I'm saying? So these are friends. I don't know what the rest of you, but I had work to do. I have cases to review and decisions to make for the people of this great city. That's what I am paid for, not sitting around with a bunch of hens crackling about roosters. Our Lord should done. Our Lord, she done gone back down south on us again. T jokes. Okay, you honor. We will respect your ruling and review this case on Thursday. And please, ladies, if you are my friends, you will not try to investigate this man, find out his shoe size, or review his bank account. Do that for me. Will you please? And 9, 10 times how this story is going, they're gonna look into this. I can see him now. Hey, King Vet. Hey, Mama, not having it. I can see him now. She asking them not to, but these friends gonna do it anyway. And with that, Angie dropped $100 bill on the table and said, "Lunch is on me." Darlene picked up the bill and said, "Okay, sis, you have bought our silence until Thursday, but we warn you, be ready to answer some questions then. We are only looking out for you. Who else want dessert besides me?" With that, Angie bade them all goodbye, pick up her Parada bag and walked away. She wondered if anyway, she wondered if maybe she was making a bad decision by following her heart. She somehow got the feeling that her friends would never understand. And they not, because they bougie. You can tell they bougie. That was chapter 2. And I'm going to continue on reading. These chapters are really small, so I'm going to continue on reading. I'm going to go to chapter 3. Andy sat at her vanity touching up her hair and makeup. She made an appointment at Chaz Charles' salon for a new look, and the man himself, Chaz Charles Clemens, turned her into masterpiece. Cece had taken her severe looking hair and softened it. He had cut her hair in wispy layers with bangs falling gently across her freshly threaded eyebrows, creating a natural and sexy wind-blown look. Her makeup was a combination of deep bronze, light almond vanilla creams with chestnut browns that both highlighted and softened her already beautiful face. Looking herself over in the full-length mirror, even Angie couldn't believe how stunning she looked. The Vera Wag gown was wearing complemented both her figure and complexion. The almond-colored gown enhanced her copper skin tone, had brought out the softness of her light brown eyes. A rounded neck perfectly shaped her face, and the way it fell softly around her waist made Angie realize that she had never worn anything quite so flattering. Andrew had to admit she was flabbergasted when she saw that the price tag on the dress Darlene had bought her. When she had asked her friend to help her find something to wear to the ball, she had not expected she would go all out and buy her the gown. They were they were out shopping one Saturday and decided to see what Macy's had to offer. They loved shopping in the stores at the Water Tower Palace. Her other favorite store, Victoria's Secret, was there too. Initially, Angie tried to refuse and gift, but trying the dress on and seeing how beautiful she looked in it, she had to accept it and admit to Darlene how she really knew her fashion. Andy, this is your night. It's not often one of my friends is given an honor such as the one you have received. You represent everything the four of us have worked so hard to attain, and you look good doing the dang thing. Darlene reminded her with her added laughter. Shortly after receiving her gift, Angie had to find perfect shoes to match, and she did. The shoes were so sexy, evening sandal with a matching bag, also by Vera Wag. Angie opted for bronze to offset the almond color of the gown. The shoes looked very delicate, and the rhinestones buckle seemed to make them magical. While at the salon, Angie had also had a spa, pedicure, and manicure. She loved those rare occasions when she pampered herself a little. She usually felt guilty about such indulgences, but not this time. She felt fierce. She knew her hair and nails and even her toes were tight. Hmm. There's one thing, honey, when you dress from head to toe, can't nobody tell you nothing. You know you be sharp. Okay, I'm Miss Daniele. She couldn't even wait to see everyone's reaction to her new look. Suddenly, Angie heard the doorbell ring. As she nervously looked out the window, fully expecting to see the usual black car waiting for her. For a moment, she panicked, realizing maybe she had made a mistake. Oh my God! What if he comes to pick me up in this cab? Everyone will know. But as she glanced out the window, she saw a limousine waiting instead. Angie felt relieved for the moment. I know he wasn't that dumb now. They know they was going, hey Shay Shay, God bless you. He know he was taking her to the ball. He's not gonna take her to no ball and no cab. Well, that would have been too funny. We would pull up in the cab. But I know that brother wasn't that stupid. Oh, that was too funny. As she made her way downstairs and opened the door, she was not prepared for what she saw. It was Tony, right on time as planned. Instead of his chauffeur's uniform, he stood there dressed in what so obvious a designer tuxedo, holding a very beautiful and unique bouquet of spring flowers. So he was a gentleman, even though he was a cab driver. He's her driver. You know what I'm saying? So at least he was a gentleman. So he know how to be a man. Many of the flowers were her favorites. There were purple lilies, blue irises, and white lilies. There were delphinium and tulips. The single yellow rose in the scent from the completed the extraordinary bouquet. The tuxedo we the tuxedo he wore only accented his muscular frame. Angie didn't know what type of cologne he was wearing, so he must be smelling good. But she knew she liked it very much. Somehow it smelled as if it had been made just for him. That's one thing about, and when you wear perfume, when a guy wear cologne and a woman wear perfume, it smells different on each individual person. Because what smelled good on me might not smell good on the next person. So and that's so true right there. But she knew she liked it very much. Somehow it smelled as if I already read that part. It was fresh rain and fire rolled into one. It gently caressed your sense and set them on fire all at the same time. He stood in the doorway for a moment in the light, looking as though he had just stepped off the pages of a last fashion magazine. Angie was pleasantly surprised, and it must have shown on her face. Yeah, she was. He knew how to be a man. He knew where he was going. He knew that he was taking a judge to a ball. So he knew he had to step his game up. So she was impressed. Good evening, Your Honor. Um, Close your mouth. Her mouth must have been wide open. I had been out on a date or two, so I know how to clean myself up. I take it from the look on your face. I met your approval. Tony amusingly responded. I'm sorry, Tony. I just didn't expect that you would look so handsome, Angie admitted. He was looking good to her. Why, thank you, my lady. A woman of your stature should always expect the best. I hope I would do at least for tonight. You are fine. Please come in. Let's imagine somebody. Now, he's her driver. He picks her up every day and drive her around. You know what I'm saying? So he's only in a driving uniform. So this man is in the tuxedo, probably got a fresh haircut, fresh shave, you know what I'm saying? Looking good, handsome, smelling good, and like looking from his work uniform to a former uniform and going out looking like that. I could imagine what was going across her mind. However, Angie really wanted to say he was the man she had always dreamed about picking her up for a date. Wow, I don't think I have ever seen a more beautiful woman myself, said Tony as his eyes traveled the length of her body. Angie could see an admiration in his eyes as he slowly took in her now new look. I love your hair. It softens your face, and I can finally see those beautiful eyes without having to strain. And that dress, the dress must have been special made by angels, especially for you. Tony had been totally caught off guard by Angie's look, and for a moment had allowed his desire for her to show. Finally collecting himself and feeling a little awkward, he remembered that he was holding something in his hand. These are for you, Tony, as he handed her the bouquet. Please have a seat while I put these beautiful flowers in water. As she led Tony, Tony down the foyer and into the living room, Angie realized that in all the years he had been picking her up, this was her first time she had ever invited him into her home. Can I Can I get something to drink while you wait? She felt like a princess or on her way to the ball. She hopped she hoped she was Cinderella. No, I am fine. Do you mind if I take a look around at your artwork? No at all. Please take your time, said Angie. Again, Tony never ceased to amaze her. Most men she had invited into her home never even noticed her painting and collectibles, and if they did, it was very spoken of. She was very proud of her collection. Each piece had special meaning to her. As she returned to the living room to join him, she paused in the doorway as she studied his observing her favorite painting. It was titled Fairy Tale Time. As she looked at the painting, she was reminded of how she felt the first time she laid eyes on it. Fairy Tale Time was a portrait of a little girl sitting on a porch on a beautiful summer's day in a rocking chair uh, with a book in her hand. Whenever she looked at the picture, it reminded her of how wonderful it felt to sit on the front porch with her grandmother and reading her very own books. I see you are a fan of Mary J. Mary IJ. Tony offered. Angie was suddenly brought back into the present and had a passing thought of how at this moment it felt so right to be with him. She had never felt as comfortable with a man as she did at the moment with him. Why, yes, I am. When we have time, I would love to show you the rest of my collection, but for now we better get going if we are going to get to the ball on time. Angie stated as she picked up her wrap and purse. Tony bent over to help her with her things, placing her arms in his. They headed out the door to the waiting limousine. As they arrived at the limousine, smartly dressed young man got out of the car to open the door for her. Angie realized as she and Tony got into the car that in the 11 years they spent together, this was the first time he had ever been so close to her. It seemed her a little giddy. It made her a little giddy. Tony, it's such a beautiful night. Would you mind if we rode with the moon roof open? Mm, so romantic. I was just thinking the very same thing. Sitting there in the car was almost more that than Angie could have ever dreamed. It feels so right. Somehow she had been transported to a time and place that until now, the only thought of late night as she slept. She watched Tony sitting there and wished the moment was to last a longer would last a lot longer. As they sat looking up in the magnificent night sky and talking in the back of the car, Angie tried to carefully form her words so she would not offend him. Tony, you know I respect you very much. I admire your courage to be your own man and do what feels right for your life. But Tony didn't seem to hear her as he interrupted her words with, Your Honor, I must tell you, you are the most stunning woman I have ever been out with. I mean, you are beautiful every day, but I never been out with a woman who is as graceful and elegant as you are tonight. As she heard these words, Angie didn't have the heart to tell him not to tell anyone what he did for a living. She recognized it was she should be honored to be with him. I'm sorry, I interrupt you. What were you saying? Nothing, Tony, nothing at all. She reminded of the ride they rode in silence, each deep in their own thoughts. See, she worried about what her friends is going to say. You know, right, pretty apple. Oh, the Barrister Ball was being held in a beautiful and elegant Michaelis Pavilion located outside of Chicago in Lima, Illinois. Angie had heard of the pavilion but had never been there. She heard how stunning his garden paradise with its two waterfalls were but she wasn't prepared for what she saw. Angie was taken aback as she did not expect such an applause as one they received upon entry. She thought she would be able to join the festivities in compassionately as possible. No sooner than making their entrance, her lifelong friends were up there. You know they was ready. Hey, yellow one, you know they was ready. Was up there, toes to the sides of her date. Tony, these are my very good friends, Rhonda, Darlene, and Teresa, and you know they was looking him up and down, ready for their questions. Yes, pretty apple. Angie introduced. Tony smiled and greeted each of them with a slight bow and soft kiss on the hand. My, Angie girl, I see why you wanted to keep Sir Anthony under wraps. Because if I were your friend, I swear I would try to take this man away from you, Darlene said playfully. Sorry, Darlene, I belong only to the judge. You know I am a judge too, said Rhonda. Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I only have eyes for Judge Jenkins tonight. Ladies, can't you see? Oh my God, can't you see you are making him uneasy? Interrupt T. Tony, look, Angie's arm nervously had asked for a dance. Upon her acceptance, he once began bowed toward the other ladies. Nice to have met you, all acquaintance, and excused himself and led Angie to dance on the dance floor. Darlene was the first to speak up. Dang, Angie girl, done hit the jackpot with this one. He is a wonderful, as she said, good looks, charms, and dancer too. Be still by beating heart, I wonder. They all watched as we walked away. When they realized that each of them were doing, they all broke out in embarrassing laughter. Ladies get a see. They think he's fine, y'all. But when they find out what he do, they finna do some talking. I can see it coming. Ladies, get a hold of yourself. Remember, we are all officers of the court who are here on official business, said Rhonda. The laughter continued. I'm sorry, Tony. I should have warned you. They may be ladies of the outside, but that is until they open their mouth. I hope they didn't offend you, Angie softly whispered as Tony led her to the dance floor. Offend me? I am honored your friends approves me, was all Tony could say because the music started. She was pleasantly surprised when the song by Incognito began playing. As she listened to the lyrics of the song, it was as if uh, Masa was singing about her. She silently chuckled to herself as she listened to the words. Yes, she could certainly relate being caught up and swept away by the waves of love as the song symbolized. Angie found herself lost in the moment. It was heavenly to be in the arms of the man she'd been secretly in love with for years. Momentarily, she threw her apprehensions on the side. She didn't care what her friends and colleagues thought. She knew at the moment Tony was the only man for her. They danced most of the first part of the evening away. Before long, Angie realized that she was tired and needed to take a break. She found her friends at their table and sat down to rest. What would you like to drink? Tony offered. Chevalis, if you don't mind, Angie accepted. Will the rest of you ladies also care for drinks? He was a gentleman, Tony suggested. They all looked around at each other and responded in unison. As Tony walked away to retrieve their drink, Darlene asked, does he have a brother? No, he has two sisters who lives out of state, Angie answered. Just my luck. The last good-looking, dancing mannered, able brother in Chicago, and Angie got him first. Darlene joked with a look of disappointment on her face. For a moment, each woman became silent, each just a little jealous of Angie and Tony. Tony returned to the table, followed by a waiter with the drink orders, who attended distributed and drinks around the table before retreating as quietly as he came. Rhonda casually asked, "So, Tony, what do you do for a living?" Angie almost choked on her drink as she heard Tony's answer. "I'm a chauffeur and I drive a cab part time." Oh my God. I told y'all it was coming. I knew it was coming. Oh my God. She choked off her drink when he told her that. Mm, mm, mm. Before she realized it, a look of terror crossed her face. Her worst fears was happening right before her eyes. She was powerless to stop what was about to happen, and she knew it. Tony didn't seem to notice the stunned look on the faces all around the table as he told his story about how driving a cab put him through school and how he decided rather than starting a psychology practice, he chose to continue to drive a cab. No one at the table seemed to hear how he had his PhD. Said it heard everything but the PhD. All thing was on they all day mind. He was a chauffeur and drive a cab. That's all they was thinking about. They didn't hear that he was going to school. That driving a cab took him and paid his school for a PhD. They ain't listen to their PhD. Yes, pretty apple. But you know they lawyers and judges, so you got to make their amount or more. um, or how he felt he was better serving others in his chosen profession. He was still using his degree, but he was just using his degree, driving the cab, and he was saving people money. They didn't hear how he made more than a decent living, or how he made some very good investments from his earnings. They didn't hear how he had influenced the lives of others with his gentle spirit, his love for humanity, and how honored he was that people trusted him with some of the most intimate details of their lives. All they heard was he drove a cab for a living. That's all they heard. That's all they heard. Even her friends seemed to have forgotten how just short a while ago each of them was envious of her and handsome man who had brought her to the ball. He could see the looks of disapproval on their face as they started deliberately at her. Darlene had the nerve to look angry. Teresa was watching her to see how she was reacting. And Darlene had put her on a courtroom face. Now she really did feel like Cinderella, and the clock just struck midnight. Why hadn't she warned Tony? Better yet, they didn't she just tell their friends what she did for a living before night tonight. She could have saved Tony and herself from embarrassment and how endured. Looking at Tony, she realized he hadn't missed a beat. Yes, they stereotyped him. They sure did. Miss mm, okay, I'm sorry. Um, the same smile was on his face. His enthusiasm for his job could still be heard in his voice. He was excited about his job. You know what I'm saying? It was very bougie. Her friends is bougie. He was excited about his job. You know what I'm saying? He's not ashamed of his job. Rather than feel embarrassed, Tony appeared to be taking great pleasure in describing what he did for a living. Angie had to excuse herself from the table as she felt the tears welling up in her eyes. She hoped to get out of the room before the tears began to flow because they embarrassed her. You know what I'm saying? Angie was confused about her feeling. She didn't know if she wanted to cry for herself, Tony, or her friends. The men at the table all stood to excuse her while Tony never stopped talking as he assisting her out of the seat. He was still talking about his job. Honey, I don't know. He was proud. He was proud of his job. And I don't blame him. Forget them. She couldn't take it anymore. Angie began to question her own judgment as to why she would allow this to happen. How could she imagine her friends would accept him? Angie headed toward the veranda where she could get some air to clear her head. On the veranda, the cool night air caressed her face while drying her tears. She stood there looking up to the sky as if would give her answers. See, you guys, don't let your friend judge who you choose to love. That's your decision. You know what I'm saying? Because friends will pull you down. You know what I'm saying? Especially you got bougie friends. You know what I'm saying? They look at her, she's a judge, and here she is driving a cab driver. You know what I'm saying? But he got a PhD. He decided to study, driving a cab, helping people. Instead of people paying him all that money, he said, like, I think $300 an hour, he would have got paid. So he decided to continue on being a cab driver because people that do go in a cab, they do talk. The air was filled with many fragrances and the beautiful garden had to offer, but even the beautiful of her surroundings weren't able to calm her fears. The moon and the stars have both given her comfort through her apprehension. Just a short while ago, as she gazed at them with Tony in the limousine. One by one, her friends joined her. As she stood there with her back to her friend, she wondered if they would still find Tony as attractive now as they did when meeting him, or had his opinion changed. She hoped they would stay. She hoped they would say the right thing. Angie, what are you thinking? You are judged for Christ's sake. Angie could hear the anger in Darlene's voice. How dare she, thought Angie. Angie, you desperate for a man that you would lower yourself to date a cab driver? Darlene questioned with disgust. Ooh, I can imagine that, Darlene. Lord. Ronald was next. Angela, I know you realize this could jeopardize your career if this ever get out. The others at the table are already starting to whisper, we have to do something quick, damaging control. My God, I don't even want to know what you were thinking. We need to move as quickly as possible to minimize the effects. Rana was reacting like the mother reprimanding her child. As she had expected, her friends didn't understand. Angie wasn't even sure if she understood. She just stood there, fighting back the tears, both angry with herself and sad to realize that they were both right. Two of her friends had already weighed in. She was waiting on the third and final strike, Teresa. Angie stood there for a moment, still with her back to her friends, fighting back the waves of emotion that were taking over and waiting on the third and final judge. There was none, just silence. She turned around to face her friends, but they were gone. Her friends were replaced by Tony. She was even more ashamed of what she was feeling. Why did her friends think had to mean so much to her? Deep in her heart, she knew. Her friends were only expressing how she really felt, but she too much of a coward to admit it to herself. Her friends were a mirror image of her true feelings. They only spoke the words that held her back all of these years from confronting her feelings for Tony. She tried to convince herself it didn't matter what Tony did for a living. Don't forget now, he was driving for her for 11 years. He was, her cab driver, her chauffeur for 11 years. So they had a relationship, you know what I'm saying? And I believe they was attracted to each other out those 11 years as well. But I think because what he was driving, he was a chauffeur and he was a cab, and she did not want to date him because she probably kind of bougie herself, but she probably still had those feelings for him. I remember Pretty Apple. I remember. She loved him anyway. She loved him with all of her heart. But we love enough to conquer all. She really didn't know. Angie was surprised to see him, but there he was, even in darkness. She could see the look of disappointment in his eyes, and before you knew it, the tears began to flow. After seeing by now, probably hearing how her friends felt about him, she had made it any better. Rather than confront their accusing looks and their biting comments, and I can just hear their mouths. I can hear them. I can just imagine them friends. She did something she hadn't done since her childhood. She had simply run away. She turned to Tony as she felt the hot tears stinging in her eyes and running down her face. Tony, I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. I should have known my friends would be so cold. You see, part of the reason we have remained friends for so long is that fact we have so much in common, even how we view things. I tried to pretend it didn't matter that you were just a cab driver. I told myself you were nothing more than my escort for the evening. Why you do what you do is important. You're not a thief or a murderer. You are the most decent man I have ever had and pleasant of knowing. Then I realized you were more than just my escort. You are my friend. For years, I wanted to tell you I fell in love with you the first time you picked me up. At first, I thought it was because of your looks. Then I realized it was your spirit. And I fell in love with you. Forgive me for being so cruel. Yeah, I figured they was in love with each other. You know what I'm saying? Their spirit. Cause people spirits connects. When your spirits connect with another spirit, you will feel that love. You will feel that love. So they always, because they was around each other every single day. He picked her up every single day. It took her around. You know what I'm saying? So they had a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Even though they didn't come out and say it, but they had that bond. You know what I'm saying? She couldn't wait to see him. She used to get dressed up for work every morning just to look cute because she's gonna see him every morning. So they had that bond already. Angie turned to face Tony to receive his response. Yet Tony, like everyone else in her life whom she cared about, had simply disappeared. First, it was her parents, then her nana, now her friends, and Tony. This time, the ache of loneliness was more than she could bear. The tears continued to fall as she tried to understand what just happened. The one and only man she had ever loved simply walked away, and she hadn't done anything to stop him. As she stood there with a warm tear streaming down her face, she heard the soothing voice of her friend, Teresa. It was then Angie realized she had never heard her give her opinion. Angie, why do you allow others to shape your life? Why do you care what your friends think? Have you noticed none of us has a man to love us or look at us the way he looks at you? Do you not realize? that not everyone has a chance. And this is a good one right here. Teresa is. None of us had a chance of true happiness. Why would you let a gorgeous man just walk out of your life? He is a treasure. Don't just let your treasure slip through your hands. Now, my friend, dry your eyes. Come on, let's go to the ladies' room so you can get yourself together and find your man. As they walked through the door, now she's a friend. Now, hey Alice, how you doing? Now she's a friend. This Teresa girl right here, now she is Angie's friend. Okay, like she said, none of us is married. You know what I'm saying? You got a man, how this man looking at you, thinking you all gorgeous. You know what I'm saying? So I like Teresa already. There you go, Teresa. Now Teresa is a friend and lifting her friend up. As they walked through the door, she saw Tony standing just inside. Before she had a chance to talk with him, she heard the announcement that the ceremony was about to begin. She walked over, desperately trying to see into his eyes, and whispered to him, "Please don't leave. We need to talk." Although she saw the obvious look of disappointment on his face, he reluctantly nodded his agreement to wait for her. Angie rushed off as to the ladies' room to try to get herself together and fix her face so she could get back out to take her seat. She was a judge who was being honored tonight, despite the drama that was going on in her life. She would just had to stuck it up and deal with the fallout after the speech. As she stood in the mirror, looking at her reflection, she wondered just who she had become. She saw the face of a woman who who had fought so hard to always do what she was right, both on and off the bench, and even though she didn't realize, agreed with the system. She knew that there were rules to follow. Angie began to wonder to herself, was she was she still the little girl whose grandmother told her to always maintain her sense of justice, keep her determination to fight against right and wrong, and to go out and prove to the world that women were just as good as men? Most of all, it's not who you are on the outside, but who you possess on the inside that matter. And that is so true. You know what I'm saying? It's what you carry on the inside. It's what your heart is. You know what I'm saying? Um, she could hear her grandmother say sometimes when she tried hard, he could still see her grandmother's face as she spoke to her. Angie wished her grandmother was to right now so that she could put her arms around her and feel her grandmother's soothing touch as she placed her tears strike face in her lap. "Nana, have I forgotten everything you taught me?" Angie asked herself as she walked towards the crowd preparing to give her speech. "No time for foolishness right now, Angel," she whispering. T had brought Angie's purse to her as she knew that she had to pull herself together. Angie splashed cool water on her face, reapplied her makeup, and made her way out the ladies' room and headed for the podium. A look of pure determination mingled with her smile as she walked towards the podium to the whirl of the thunderstorm of applause. Angie suddenly caught a glimpse into her future and looked back at her past. She mounted the stairs to the stage and stood in stunned silence for what she seemed like eternity. So that was chapter 2 and 3 I had just read, and I will continue on to read chapter 4 and 5 on next week. This was a good book. This is a good book serving justice. You know what I'm saying? Um, Following your heart. You got to follow your heart. You know what I'm saying? You can't let your friends pick, who you love. You know what I'm saying? You got to, when God, like I said, when God put somebody, in your life, put somebody there for you, you would know that connection. You would know that person is for you. You would know. So no matter what, never let nobody pick who you love for you. You know what I'm saying? So this is an awesome book. I can't wait to wait till next week. You know what I'm saying? Because you will find friends. A lot of us have bougie friends. You know what I'm saying? So don't let your bougie friends mess your life up. Who God, you know, got for you. You know what I'm saying? So that just wait on God, and God would know. You would know it's for you. So it's not about how much money he makes. If he loved the Lord, you know what I'm saying? He's there with the Lord, and he's taking care of you and treating you right. Nothing else matter. Like her mother said, and that's a true saying. Everything will fall in place. So thank you all for coming into the book club. God bless you all. I really appreciate you all. Know that what in the world happened here? Did it go off? Okay, show chat. Sorry, I hit the wrong thing. Oh, I thought it went off. um, know that God loves you all. Know that God know what's best for all of our life. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, don't let your friends, your mother, your father, whoever. It's okay to talk to your friends, about the person who you met or whatever. That's what you want to do, but do not let them judge what you love. Okay, that's what you love, and that's what you want. You go for it. Okay, you go for it. So we will continue on with this book. I will read. We're gonna be in chapter, because these chapters are kind of short, so I'm gonna read 2 chapters tonight. So we will do chapter 4 and 5 on next week. So know that I love you guys. You guys, whoever celebrate Christmas, have a Merry Christmas with your family. Enjoy your time with your family. I know I'm off until after the first of the year, so I'm going to enjoy my time with my family and stuff like that, and go get a little, small gifts for my. I'm not going to go broke. I'm not going to go. I think I'm gonna get my older grandkids probably a little gift card. You know what I'm saying? A few dollars on a gift card. I'm not gonna go broke, because Christmas is not all about that, honey. I found the true meaning of Christmas thanks to Chosen King. He got a video out there, you guys. You have not watched that video that Chosen King had put out today. The true meaning of Christmas. I advise you guys to go out there and go listen to that video. Okay. Okay, because Jesus is the real Jesus is real. You know what I'm saying? So, like he said, nobody know the exact date that Jesus was born, and we don't know. Like he said, the 3 wise men don't even know the date because Jesus was already born when they found Jesus, and he's so right. He's so right. Thank God, thank you, Chosen King, for that what you had put out today. Yes, pretty apple. Much love to you. I'm too positive. So, real quick, I put it in my night box. I got 2 queens. They got one more week to be up in there. The next Sunday, I'm gonna be picking 3 more YouTubers. So you guys have not. Make sure you go show Pretty Apple and Mama Not Heaven and Teen Terrell. I got those are the 3 queens who I like to put a shout out to and show love to. So I got them in my light box. And also on January 19th, it's our next Queens Lift Up Other Queens at 8 p.m. Lovely the Great is going to be hosted on her channel next month. Okay. So she will be hosting. Us queens will be over there along with her. Whoever else she decided she wants to choose to be on the panel with her. So she's hosting that night. She will run the queens lift up other queens that night. So save your date, January the 19th at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific time. That is the time. So I will give a shout out on that every day. Okay. I mean, every time I go live, I was going to be in my night box as well. So you too, Ellis Green. So before I go, I'm going to say, love the skin that you are in because you are made in God's image. And He thinks that you are beautiful. Okay. So don't forget. And on February 15th, the same time and same date will be Positive Movement. She will be hosting the Queens Uplift Other Queens. Okay. So keep those dates in mind because it will be every month on the third Saturday of every month at those same times. And always remember, I am forever a chosen queen. I'm out. Have a blessed night and enjoy your Christmas and enjoy your New Year's. Serve. God bless.